All right, what's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and CreateSpace. A link will be in the description box below as usual. This video is entitled The Exploitation of Providers and Protectors. You know, when ladies have the argument that brothers haven't built anything or aren't building anything, or they're looking for validation, they're looking for acceptance, and they want guys to, excuse me, be the head of the relationship, the head of household, right? And be ahead of the women. I don't disagree that men should be the head. I don't. Or the leaders. I don't. But I think ladies seem to forget about the exploitation of the providers and the protectors. And what I mean by that is, let's start with the providers. You know, the man who is in a leadership position provides a home, comfort, something to pass down to the next generation, and the grandchildren, right? The generation or generations. And the woman is the steward of those things to be passed on from one generation to the next if that man dies. And under this model, this has become the financial beef between men and women because, women have circumvented their responsibility in that what BGS would call breaking the social contract with, no fault divorce, and taking the legacies or the finances from those situations, the homes from those situations, all the resources from those situations, and pretty much just blowing them on frivolous, leisurely, short-sighted stuff, that doesn't produce anything on the back end. And when you look at society, you can see this happening for decade after decade, because whether we're talking about guys who are upper class, middle class, a lot of these men who were providers took a lot of losses, and their children have nothing to show for it. The resources of what their children's children could have took a hit from it. And the issue basically is, the exploitation of a provider's nature. Same thing, the same argument guys have with child support. It's not about sending money or giving money to provide for your child. It's about the blatant acceptance of society to say that, yeah, they ain't gonna do right by that kid. They're gonna spend all that money on them, and your kid's gonna be left with nothing. And once again, you exploiting the provider. Go a little further than that, from a husband situation to a family situation, just to a dating situation. It's this gender war has this financial warfare where I got to get as much out of you as I can get financially without giving you anything. And I'm going to get something out of you. I'm going to get something out of him. I'm going to get something out of him. I'm going to get something out of him. And this exploitation of guys, you need to be a real man and take me out. And how many real men took you out? How many real men pursued you? How many real men have courted you? And the exploitation of their position of being providers, you've taken to the point where you've used that gender role of manhood, masculinity, and that leadership role as a platform for your gain. And still, it bears really no fruit, and everything in it is frivolous, short-sighted trinkets. So you got all of this out of these guys, and if you're single with no kids, you got nothing out of it. If you have kids, your kids got nothing out of it. If you had a marriage, your life basically went downhill afterwards. So you lost out, even though you took from, and it doesn't work out well. So let's, go a little bit further into exploiting the protectors. Many a guy saw that many a times women have gotten guys in fights to protect their honor, and come to find out that they just got used. Some guys lost their lives. Some guys lost their freedom. And these women that we all know and have seen in our lives just moved on like nothing happened. They have those situations where we're talking about custody battles. What happens is you exploited these parents as being, these fathers as being protectors. So if he tries to discipline his child or check his child, all of a sudden he's the big, bad, evil man who might do something demonstrative to his own child. So you can get ahead. So you've exploited that role for your own gain. Not to mention, there are some parents who exploited that role and put their child in harm's way with the people that they liked. And they didn't protect them, and then blame the same quote unquote protector that was going to do all these bad things to their child. If your father was here to protect you, my boyfriend wouldn't be beating you like this. Type of situation, Don't tell your father that you're being molested, because he gonna kill me and somebody and this guy that's molesting you. So we got to keep it in the house as a family. So on one end you exploit, the guys, then you exploit the system, and you exploit the children under the protector model. So now you have a society built on evading responsibility and building bridges on lies, which is basically a house of cards. And now, these guys are upset. They're looking at women in a different light. And then the women are saying, even when it comes to exploiting the providers, well, you just got to take a loss. That's what women do. That's who women are. Not taking into consideration, once we know this, and on top of that, once y'all seem to openly and readily admit that y'all like using guys up and basically robbing them of their resources, they're not gonna want to do anything for you or with you. And to act as though, I rob people, but how dare you not hang around me because I might rob you? Really? Really? So, that whole ideology of, what am I going to do if I can't rob you? You're going to have to figure that out, because I'm not your come up. And I'm going to protect myself. And part of the chivalry in some of these feminist women's brains is the idea that these guys are going to be martyrs for their shenanigans. Not going to happen. Same thing when it comes to the protectors. Why aren't you men there to protect me? If I protect you, it's kind of like the police. The police go to a house for domestic disturbance. She calls the police. She screams all over the phone, come get me, help me, save me, save me. The cops arrest the guy, and she's like, no, don't do that. He's a good guy. And then it's time to testify. No, oh, I'm gonna come bail you out, baby. I love you. It got so bad to the point you gotta remember nowadays the police xed out women from even domestic abuse cases because they felt like they were too fickle as far as their responding. They can't trust their reliability with these situations. You know, so exploiting the situation. And to the point where they have women out here who say they got into altercations and the cops show up like, oh, okay. You didn't get your way, so you said you got beat. Now we seeing hit you here with no scratches, no nothing. The guy is just sitting here calm, shaking his head. You put him in a situation where he can get arrested, he can get killed, he can get locked up, he can lose his job. But you knew that already. And it's like, oh, is this what we do? We're emotional creatures. Okay. So now, well, not only the men know you as this, you readily admit you're like this, and society sees you like this. Of course, the whole dynamic of how you're going to be treated changes because you're not to be trusted. And we're not talking about a year or two. This is decades of stuff. There are people like myself who are in their 30s who's watched this coming up their whole life. Were confused as kids, were confused as teenagers, and became adults. Was like, oh, okay. And now you got women who were raised that this was a normal, tactical move to get what you want. Not understanding that nobody wants to be around an opportunistic person who's willing to put you in danger, your children in danger, your legacy in danger, your resources in danger, just for a quick come up of nothing. Because these women aren't making businesses, these women aren't investing, these women aren't creating empires. They selling guys out for trips, shoes, dinners, purses, outfits, and fun experiences, tricking off on guys they think are entertaining in girls' trips. So of course, it's gonna look how it looks right now because we've watched the exploitation of providers and protectors. I'm out.